Regulars to this channel will know that this truck here, which is called Ortegas, is not my first Ford F-150 Lightning Lariat extended range. I actually had another truck before this one, which was called a Tal, and a Tal was a truck that I picked up in sort of mid-2022. I was one of the first people in Oregon to get a Ford F-150 Lightning. I was very lucky. That particular truck was in a colour that is no longer available on all F-150 Lightnings, and it came with all of these standard items that you would have expected at the time for a Lariat edition of the F-150 Lightning extended range. So it had a front washer for the camera, it had onboard scales, it had a smart tow hitch, it had plenty of other cool things that have now been removed from the F-150 Lightning as it's gotten older. In fact, the 2025 version of the F-150 Lightning doesn't have half of the stuff that this truck has. And one of the reasons why we ended up buying a 2023 replacement for a Tal, who, by the way, met an untimely death in some nasty snow. And I still have nightmares about that, by the way. This truck we bought as a 2023 when we could have bought a 2024 because the 2024 didn't have a lot of the features that we wanted. But anyway, when I got my original F-150 Lightning, Ford was doing a big kind of perk. If you bought a brand new truck, you got a butt ton of points that you could spend in Ford's online store. And I didn't have anything that I really wanted for the truck. I already had the mats, already had everything else. But I saw online a fun little light up Ford emblem for the front, and I thought, yeah, it's a little tacky, but it looks kind of fun. We could make a video on that. That was nearly 3 years ago, but guess what? Today we're going to put that same emblem on the front of Ortegas. So over the weekend, this is the emblem that's been sitting in my office now for nearly 3 years. I dug this out of the cupboard. I did the modifications to the cabling that's required. I'll tell you about that in a bit. And today we're going to fit it onto the front of Ortegas, and we're also going to fit something that this truck doesn't have, but this truck, well, the thing that this truck was designed to be fitted to expected you to have, and that's a front washer. So I also have a kit to install the front camera washer. So let's do it. Importantly, because not a lot has changed between this truck and the original F-150 Lightning, you can buy parts to install on this truck that weren't installed at the factory. Now, I should probably note that when the F-150 Lightning came out, it was kind of right in the middle of COVID. There were worries about parts availability. A lot of automakers were basically removing things from their vehicles in order to keep their profits up, in order to make sure that customers got their vehicles. And for the 2023 model year, they got rid of this on this particular trim variant of the Lightning. It's basically an extension tube that connects to the washer system, goes up and over and then onto the front, and then there's a little bit here that pops out when you hit the washer windscreen button, and it will spray onto the front camera. Now, it might be overkill, and to be honest, if the light up emblem that we had purchased for the previous truck hadn't had a little cutout right here for the washer jet, I may not have bothered. But also, because of where we live, it's very muddy and very wet for a large part of the year. We drive on, what do they call them? Unimproved roads. That basically is a fancy way of saying gravel and dirt tracks. And so the front camera does get kind of dirty. Not as dirty as the rear camera, and I wish that Ford had developed a rear washer for the F-150 Lightning, but that is a completely different problem. and I could talk to you at length about that, but I'm not going to. But because we have a pretty tight parking situation here at the house, actually having a camera washer is kind of useful. It's also useful in the city. If you have to park in a very tight parking space, you can just pull the washer to wash the windshield, and the little jet pops out and sprays this camera. It makes it easier for you to see how close you are to the front of the parking space. So I'm going to install it. And you can say all the mean and nasty and horrible things you want. But to do that, we're going to have to first remove this panel. And to do that, there are some little clips that we have to remove on the underside of the, I suppose, the front grille of the frunk. If it's on the hood, does it still count as a grille? Answers on a postcard. Anyway, I've got the highest expensive piece of trim removal tool here. Pittsburgh's finest. Yeah, I know. You all know where I got this, and it's not great quality, but we can pretend, right? For those who are interested, these are 10mm bolts. All right, so this is the last one, and I'm actually not going to fully undo this because the last thing I want is for this whole panel to come off. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to manually pull it down, because then I'm going to have to remove this and then remove the grill and unconnect some of the things on the inside. All right, let's lift that away. And as expected, we have some connectors on the front that we have to remove. This one is the camera, and then we also have to remove this one here. And they are little locking connectors. So you have to kind of push in and slide at the same time. So that's the one for the the door switch. And then here, this one I think is ever so slightly different. There's a little clip you have to pull up and out of the way, and then you pull it off. Because I'm paranoid about breaking my truck, I actually changed a few things around. You're supposed to remove the whole front end, and then you can remove the emblem, and then you can remove this little bit, which is part of the emblem that goes on the other side of the truck. But because I couldn't figure how to safely take this off, and I still honestly cannot quite figure it out unless I press this clip down. Maybe I pull it up. Either way, I didn't want the camera to go smashing onto the floor, and I didn't want anything else to go smashing onto the floor, so I just kind of left it as it was and then removed all of the bolts holding it together. So I'm just going to leave it like that while we go over and remove the old grill, and then, or the old logo from the grill, and then we can put this on, and then when everything's ready, we can put this back together on the truck. So I'll see you over there. So this is a 10mm, but it's an extra long 10mm because the 10mm I had in my other kit wasn't long enough. There we have it. The old logo has gone. I must admit, it's not as well made inside as I thought it would be. There's quite a lot of nasty, I don't know, the threads on this are gnarly. Let's just leave it at that. I've already put these little standoffs in here because that's what came with the kit. I'm going to feed this in from underside and then obviously connect the cables. My actual kit came with some new bolts that look so much nicer than the ones I took off, so I'm going to go and get those. I found the little baggie, and I should point out that the little baggie, if you buy the F150 Lightning version, comes with these wire taps. The idea is that you tap a wire somewhere around your fuse block, and then you connect this all up from there, because the loom that comes with this Emblem is designed for an internal combustion engine F150, and Ford engineers in their wisdom decided to change the pinout for the Lightning. However, thanks to the Martin Rebuilds YouTube channel, go watch his tutorial if you haven't yet. You can modify the loom, which is what I did yesterday over the weekend. I didn't film myself doing it. I apologize. I was having a bad day. I did not want to be on camera, but I did do the modifications, so I don't need any of these wire taps, but I do need these little standoffs here, and I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on them, a little bit of blue Loctite. All right, so now I've put this on, I also want to call out the fact that if you buy this from Ford, it's made by a company called Putco. They do a lot of stuff for Ford, and as it comes from the factory, if you buy the Ford variant, it has 2 wires at this end, but there are 3 coming out here. That is because somewhere along this loom, they have cut the 3rd wire. And if you buy the Putco version, which is more expensive, I think, there is that green wire is connected somewhere in this loom to the black wire that goes to here, so that when you turn the truck on, you get a nice fancy startup animation. Knowing that, as you can see, I've modified this loom slightly, and round about, see if I can see where I did it, round about here, if I just peel this back, you'll be able to see that in this loom, I've actually joined the black and the green cable together. So here's the black wire coming in, and here's the green one, which is obviously ground. So I've connected those 2 together. Basically what happens is that little extra cable produces an animation when you turn on the power to the truck and the light comes on. It sort of does a fancy little whoosh animation. That's pretty good. You know what I've done though? I've put it on upside down. Psych! Sorry, couldn't resist. Looks good, right? Look at that. That's pretty good. I like how that looks. Obviously I need to clean my truck. I'm going to put this back on for now though, because we are going to be kind of woman handling this into position, and I don't want to damage the nice fancy Emblem. In order to get the power cable to the Emblem, we have to bring it through here. And so I've got some fish wire. This is not actually our fish wire. It's in the shop. It was a piece of heavy duty earth strap, I think, or lightning strap that has been sat out in the shop and is covered in sawdust, because my wife does sawdusting, does woodworking. So what we're going to do is we're going to tape the wire to the end of the fish wire, and then I'm going to pull it through. Obviously in a situation like this, it's a good idea to actually tape up the connector so you don't damage the connector. I've done that several times. It's not good. And then I'm gonna tape this on here like so. Doo-doo-doo. If I wanted to do this 100% properly, the wash cable, I would have to remove this and do it through, but I think this will be fine. So this one is going to be the harder one to do because this connector it's kind of bulky. There you go. So that one is through. Now I can do the same with the wash cable. Off camera, I actually connected the wash cable up. Not really wash cable, I guess it's more of a wash tube. I connected that up, and so I will have to lift up the cable and bring it to the right location before I actually finish fetching this cable in. So okay, so we've done a test fit and everything seems to be working. So now I'm putting the truck back together again. So on a level of 1 to 10, where, you know, 10 is the hardest thing you've ever had to do to a vehicle, and 1 is the easiest. I would probably rank this about a 3.5 or a 4. It was more complicated than I thought it was going to be, primarily because we had to do the washer mod as well, and that required some extra brains. Plugging this all in, we didn't film it because there's no way you would have seen it, but plugging in the harness at the bottom was also very unpleasant. I have marks all over my hands. My hands are big. That was not the most fun part of it in any way, shape or form. All right, so without finishing putting everything back, so there's going to be panels missing. Let's just check that this all does close. So for this purpose, I'm going to just hold this out of the way and I'm going to hit the button. Ta-da! Let's see if it opens back up. Obviously that proves that the button works as well, because we had to disconnect the button. So everything now works. The next challenge is figuring out where this cable's going to go, which is a bit of a challenge. I'm thinking, while I don't want to do it like this, I think that maybe snaking it somewhere along here would be a good move. That is about it. Everything's back together. I didn't film putting it back together because obviously it's the same as just taking it apart. These 3D printed clips have come in handy because I've lost so many of them on this side. They actually work really well. So I will make sure that I link to the STL file for those as well, because these Ford default clips from Ford are terrible. I mean, this whole panel this one's broken. Just look at it, right? It's all mangled. So I will go and get some replacement clips that I've 3D printed in a moment and replace them. We've lost 2 today. These are the 2 that we've lost, but it's okay. We can 3D print some more. In fact, this one is a 3D printed one. To be fair, this one is a 3D printed one that's broken. But let me show you the finished result, because I think this looks stock. What do you think? The only thing really that you can tell is that there's this little electrical cable snaking up here. We've now got the washer cable, which is attached to the proper places. The only places that tube is not properly connected is behind here. I didn't bother to pull that apart. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that looks pretty cool. The washer jet works. The camera now gets cleaned every time we clean the windshield. The logo is all lit up and looks phenomenal. And the best bit is, thanks to Martin from Martin Rebuilds, we were able to do this without doing any extra splicing or wiretapping. And it means that this truck is pretty darned stock in terms of what we've done to it. At some point in the future, if we want to, we can remove this logo. We can put it back to stock. There's no tweaking of cabling to be done. I didn't break anything to install this. I can put back the original logo. I can get rid of the camera washer if I really want to. And that's true of all the other mods we've done on the truck as well. Maybe with the exception of the rear power bed. We did have to run a wiretap for that, but it's done so discreetly. If you watch that video, you'll know how we did it. If you didn't, go watch it after this one. There are plenty more videos coming because we have plenty more planned for this truck, including maybe putting a proper camera rig, plug and socket arrangement in the rear so we don't have to traipse cables through the bed every single time we want to go and film. Job's good. Thanks for joining us today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord room, on our Patreon page, down below, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They are part of the massive community of supporters who make this channel possible, helping us through Patreon and YouTube, helping us cover our bills, pay our team, and ensure that we remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the links below. We've got options across a wide range of different price points from just $1.50 US per month. A massive welcome to our newest supporters: Dan Fitzsimmons, Yanni Mavro-Philippos, MB, Bruce McKean, Nitmir, Calvin Klein, Marek Kowalski, Dave Nelson, Chip Chandler, Ed Zavada, Alan Bassel, Tully, Ronald Blackman, Christian Ranson, Michelle Brennan, Scott Weber, Dal Same, Bob, Harry Lamb, Jeff Curtis, William Radke, SDS, Barry T, Shitkrat Chowdhury, Ernest Bruce, Matthew, Bill, and Sphinx Garden. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame, and you can even gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and we even have an old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at for the time being, address listed below. You'll also find links to our swag store, and if you have someone who shops on Amazon, please consider asking them to use our affiliate link so we get the commission rather than Jeff Bezos. So we can continue to focus on making our content even better and reduce creator burnout. We are being a little freer with our release days, but we plan on dropping new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday on our main channel, plus something on Sunday over on Transport Evolved Take 2. If you want more, the mighty algorithm that hates us thinks you should be watching this video, but this video is one that we think you should check out. Be awesome, be kind, be intentional, and don't forget to resist. Keep evolving!